This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Here with trainer Tony Sims in Liverpool. Tony, been in a busy week, weighing out the way. Almost time for the talking to be over. How is Conor?
Yeah, he's all good. He's had something to eat and he's resting upstairs now. He's all good.
How is he doing at welterweight these days? He looked very good on the scales, as is Chris Algieri, it must be said. How is Conor at 147?
Yeah, he's solid at 147. You know, he's grown into the weight over the years, and he's solid at that weight now. And 147, you know, he's powerful. He's got his speed, you know, and he looks good at that weight.
Chris Algieri, you know, we're expecting first few rounds he's going to make Conor maybe come looking. We're not saying it's going to be anything like the Adrian Granados fight, but how important is it for Conor Benn to be disciplined through the early rounds tomorrow?
Yeah, I think like Chris Algieri is a different kettle of fish. Really, he's a better fighter than Granados. He's more experienced, and also he's coming to win the fight. And you know, he won't be just sticking and moving like Granados done, because that ain't going to win you no fight. So, you know, at some sort of stage he's gonna bite down on his gum shield and trade off, because that's what he does. If you watch his fights, you know, and he's a good fighter. So it's a big step up for Conor Benn, and you know, I'm expecting a tough fight.
Just to go back to that Granados fight, I was there in Leeds that night, and all week the talk had been about blood and guts and war from Adrian, and what happened was, you know, we saw he didn't really want to engage with Conor. Were you taken aback by that, quite surprised by his approach?
A little bit, you know. I've seen when he, obviously I watched a lot of his fights beforehand, you know, and for the first couple of rounds, he normally does circle the ring, but then he sets his feet and gets stuck in, and all his fights has been like that. But for a really odd reason, he just didn't want to engage, and he was like Conor was saying, you might as well have brought a journeyman over to fight, because he just wasn't in there to win the fight. And you know, he just had his back stuck to the ropes for 10 rounds, really, not really doing much. So it was a bit disappointing for the fans as well. But you know, Conor come out of winning every round of the fight, and it's just about moving on now. And you know, Chris Algieri is like, you know, former world champion. That says everything about him, and he's been in with the best fighters in the world. So we're expecting a tough fight.
Everyone's been talking about Khan Brook, about Adrian Broner. I know Conor's been really quick to sort of put all that to one side this week. In a year, we've seen a lot of upsets when people are talking about fights beyond fights. How important is it that he's just blocked everything out and fully focused on Chris Algieri?
Yeah, and that shows you his professionalism, you know, what he's become. He's become a complete fighter, and you know, he's still learning all the time, obviously. But now, you know, like he says, you can't take your eye off the ball. You know, he's got Chris Algieri in front of him. You don't want to be thinking about any other opponents than Chris Algieri, and that's who he's trained for. And once that fight's out of the way and you're victorious, then you can speak about the other opponents. But at the minute, the whole focus is on Chris Algieri.
Tony, I was speaking to Eddie today. I was at that press conference when Conor was first announced as a matchroom signing, and Eddie said he's arguably the most improved fighter in world boxing at the minute. How big a testament is that to his work ethic in the gym and the development you've seen from him in the time you've been working together?
Yeah, well, you know, as you look at him, because he's obviously the son of Nigel Benn, you know, from his first fight until now, every single fight's been televised live, you know, so the whole of Great Britain or the whole of the world has seen him from his first fight, and you know, so you've all seen the development, and that, you know, that is testament to how much he puts into boxing. And that's just not with, you know, the sparring and the learning on the boxing. That's everything. That's like his nutritional side, the nutritional side of it. He's developed a loving for doing that, and the S&C side of it with Dan Lawrence. You know, Dan Lawrence is known in the boxing game as one of the top S&Cs in the country, and you know, he's developed with Dan, and like you said earlier, you can see him on the scales, you can see how he's developing with his body type, and you know, everything he does is professional, and he don't leave no stone unturned. And you he's worked very hard for this fight the last 12 weeks, and as I say, he's going to be ready to go on Saturday.
Ben was expecting maybe Famela to provide him a little bit of test. It didn't really happen for him. He was in control. The Samuel Vargas fight was a blowout for him. We spoke about Adrian Granados not really wanting to engage with him. Is this by far the most significant test of his career tomorrow?
Yeah, of course it is, 100%. And, he's a big test for Conor, but I'm expecting him to come through this test. And that will be testament to the progress that he's made. You start beating former world champions who have only lost 3 fights to the elite in the world. And if Conor goes in there and beats Algieri, then that's testament to how much he's progressed and the levels that he's going to go to. And I'm looking forward to him getting in the ring and contesting with Algieri. And when you have fights like this, you see the progress what you've made, and also there's always things to work on in the gym, and sometimes the really good fighters, the world level fighters, can exploit some of the little things that you need to work on. So it's always interesting when you move up until world level and you fight proper world level fighters.
You've had a lot of these guys in and around the gym from the beginning of their pro careers. I said it there, Conor's been with you for a long time now. Do you take personal pride when you see the development they make and they reach a stage like this from where they've started?
Well, I think I like to do it that way. I like to have them from the amateur and turn them professional, and then, take them as far as you can possibly go. And I believe that when you do that, there's more enjoyment in it for you as a trainer and a coach. There's more enjoyment in seeing, watching a fighter progress from, a novice pro into a world title pro, and there's nothing better than that. And I've trained obviously a lot of fighters over the years, and I've trained fighters that have come to me and already been champions, but there's nothing more enjoyable than coaching a fighter onto world level, and onto a world title, and that in itself is worth more than the financial gains.
You've also got Joe Cordina out tomorrow. He's got an unbeaten opponent in front of him. It looks like he's potentially got a world title shot dangling there as well. But before we get on to that, what are you expecting? What kind of a fight for him tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tricky fight. The guy he's fighting, Belgium champion, he's got the same record as Joe. I've watched a bit of him. He's not actually from Belgium. He's Armenian, and he's a decent amateur in the Europeans. So he's a good fighter, the kid, and I think it's going to be one in fights, and it's obviously going to be tricky, especially early on. He's no mug, this kid, and but I think Joe's a world level fighter. He's obviously high in the rankings now, and he'll be looking for a world title shot after this fight. So he's just got to concentrate on this fight, win this fight, get this out of the way, and then he can move on.
See, Eddie did tie up Agawa to the Matchroom stable a couple of days ago. Joe's got a very high IBF rank, and is that the natural fight going into next year, all being well on Saturday? Yeah,
100%. He's got the champion now, and Joe's very close, touching distance to fighting for the title, so it'll be quite an easy fight for Eddie to make. So obviously we've got to get this fight out of the way tomorrow night, but as I say, Joe will be looking at that fight in the new year.
A lot of people have been very high on Joe Cordina for a long time, and he's now getting there towards world level. Where does he rank among the most talented fighters you've kind of worked with from a younger age?
Yeah, Joe's very talented, and I knew him from his amateur days. He was a talented amateur as well, but obviously the transition of the style from amateur to professional, when they're so successful amateurs like he was, there's a big difference, and he's had to mould himself into a professional fighter, and I think he's done that really well, and that just shows like his boxing IQ, and he's pretty to watch. People like to watch him. He's a smart fighter. He can do basically everything, and I look forward to him pushing on next year and working towards the world title, which he will be in position for.
I spoke to Joe when I was down at the gym a week or so ago, and he felt at times he maybe got criticised for not having that explosive power or finishing fights early, and then he came out in the Hernandez fight and blew him away in one round. Did you sense Joe felt like he wanted to prove a point going in that fight?
Yeah, because beforehand, when I looked at Hernandez, he fought Chris Colbert, who's obviously he's fighting for the world title next, and he pushed Chris Colbert to a points decision. It was a tough fight in every round. So when I took the fight, I thought he's going to give Joe plenty of rounds. He's a tough fighter from Chicago, and he gets stuck in, and he's a decent fighter. So the shot that Joe hit him with was like a perfect shot, and I just think it's testament to the surgeon, Dr. Mike Hayton, who the surgery he'd done on his hand was a fantastic job, and to throw the punch with the force and the speed that he did shows you that was lacking obviously in his previous fights because he couldn't throw the right hand properly. So now Joe knows that that's all secure, the hand, and it's all good. He's got more confidence in throwing it, and that's exactly what he did that night.
Just a few updates on the rest of the gym. I want to start with Ted Cheeseman. I was there ringside at the Williamson fight, very entertaining fight, a very brutal stoppage. How is Ted, and when do you expect to sort of see him back around?
Yeah, Ted's all right. He's got a couple of businesses that he runs outside of boxing, and so financially Ted's good. And I don't really know what he's going to do about boxing. I haven't spoke to him about boxing, and I don't really know. As we know, he won 2 British titles, and I don't know whether he'd want to come back and win another British title. So he's very busy outside of boxing. So it's up to him really what he wants to do. But listen, Ted's had a great career, and I'm proud of his achievements.
Do you think from that, he's got these ventures away from boxing, winning 2 British titles, like a British title twice over, is a great achievement for any fighter? Do you almost think he would be able to find that contentment because of those things?
I think so, yeah, because I know what Ted's like, and Ted's a highly intelligent individual, and as I say, he's got businesses and plenty of people working for him outside of boxing, and he's just opened up his own wine bar as well, which I know that's going successful for him. And I think with Ted, Ted always said to me, unless you get onto world level, then financially boxing's really not worth doing. And I think now that little bit of world level's come away from him, it's like, does he want to go back to winning a British title again? He don't need to do that financially, so I don't know whether he'd want to do that again. But as I say, that's his decision, the decision that he has to make, not me. And I don't know whether he's going to box or not going to box again. But whatever he does in life, the achievement of winning a British title twice is a fantastic achievement.
John Ryder, I spoke to him last week. He's sort of taken over, waiting for news. Expecting him to be back out January time?
Yeah, Eddie's giving us a date of January the 22nd. They're just working on a world level opponent. Obviously, it's a difficult situation for John because he's at super middleweight where Canelo reigns, and Canelo's got all the 4 belts. So there's not just him, but plenty of other contenders that are waiting for their chance. Now Canelo's going to fight up at cruiserweight to try and claim that world title. So that sort of stagnates the super middleweight division for as long as it takes. So in the meantime, you just got to keep busy, keep yourself high up in the ratings, and obviously fight the best fighters out there, and to keep yourself there. And I think that's what Eddie's working on. He sent a couple of high-ranked world-level names to me, and hopefully he can secure one of them.
All right, Tony, I'll leave it there. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social. Best of luck tomorrow night.
No problem. Thanks, mate.